sort of lost touch with, I don't know, rite of passage isn't the best word to use, but it's kind of along those lines, right? So like with your type of healing practice and people in the West, we don't necessarily think of the spiritual component. Like when you're talking about cleansing, you're kind of talking about the self, the spirit, the soul, the psyche, you know, whatever people want to call it in that sense, and how critical it is to heal and clear that for there to even be doors open for the body to heal, right? So I feel like that's a pretty different approach than what a lot of people are used to. Like people might think, oh, natural medicine, yeah. I take some tinctures and I get a massage every now and then. And it's like, well, there's another layer here that if you're ready to take that next step, you know, then there's somebody like you to kind of like be the guide so that, much needed cleansing in this culture, I would say.
I think people are less familiar with this in this region with the healing practices from Uruguay, and they're more familiar with just like either the mountain traditions or like the Western herbalism. So I think that there's some learning, and also actually I don't know too much about it myself, so
Absolutely. And it's really quite fascinating that you bring this up, because I've been like contemplating, because you know I'm trained in Western herbalism through wonderful Chestnut School, and I'm also trained in curanderismo, and they're both folk medicine. But the folk medicine from maybe the Hispanic and Latino cultures bring in this like aspect of spirituality that is like really a big component of folk medicine. So just like thinking about that, like you mentioned, you know, a lot of folks haven't thought about like spirituality when they're thinking about their folk medicine here in the West. So that's great that you brought that up, because I've been thinking I want to write a blog about that, you know, because
why it's important, because I think it's something people just don't think, like if they're made to think about it, like the thing that I read that kind of like made the light bulb go off, and it's not like the thought had never occurred to me, but the way it was worded, I was just like, oh yeah, you know, we don't really talk about that enough, we don't think about it enough, and we certainly don't incorporate it enough.
I think what happened with Western herbal medicine is it got divorced from the spiritual part.